All right, guys, today is a special moment in my life. We have a legend. He's not just a legend, he's a legend who has made legends. He's the one who introduced Vedic astrology to the whole West, Northeast, whatever, outside India. He's the one who's done it. He's the one who did the impossible, who introduced Vedic astrology in a language that was understandable by the Westerners. Today on Facebook or Yahoo groups or wherever, we see so many Westerners interacting. It's only because of one guy. And he holds a very special place in my heart. I read his book. I'm not going to tell his book. I'm not going to tell the name of his book. It is that one book, somewhere the word nine is mentioned in that book. When I read that book, it was such a fat book. I still remember the day I didn't have the money to buy that book. And my friend Juliana Swanson from Hawaii, now she shifted back to US, she sent me that book. And when I read that book, it was a dialogue between a master and a student. The name of the student was Michael, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. But the way it was written, full of love. The master absolutely had no ego. Otherwise, we all know, in Vedic astrology especially, some of the astrologers, even after just 3 years of astrology or 5 years of astrology, will land up having so much of ego. And this man was explaining the most complex of subjects, the topics in Vedic astrology, in the most simplest of manner. I think, if I still remember, it was 10 years back or 12 years back when I read it. And I vowed to myself, this is the Guru of Gurus. And I'm going to print his book for Indians. He doesn't deserve only to be among the Westerners, but he deserves to be among the Indians. And I tried my level best, and I failed because of my financial problems and inefficiencies in life to bring out his book. But I promise one day I will bring it out, maybe very soon. But ladies and gentlemen, enough is enough. Let me bring you the one and only guy, Mr. Sri James Braha. Mr. Braha, please welcome on Saptarishi's Astrology channel.
That was quite an introduction. I don't know how I live up to it.
You are the humble self, the most humble astrologer I've ever met. Of course, it's only you who could do it, who could introduce. I think you were chosen. Don't you feel, let's be honest, let this be a candid interview. You know, don't you feel you are the chosen one among the rishis?
You know, when I came back from India the second time, I began to write. I said, let me see if I can write. I had tried writing a book before. It didn't go very well, but when I came back from India the second time, after I'd been practicing for about a year, then I went back to India and I met with my guru, P.M. Padia. When I came back, I started writing down what I had learned, and I said, my God, this could be a really good book. Within a week or so, I knew what I had. That was my first Jyotish book. I could see that this was going to be powerful and understandable. And I was so shocked by it that I worked 7 days a week. I wrote 7 days. My brother would call up on a Sunday. He'd say, let's go to breakfast. I said, I can't go to breakfast. And the reason for that, this is odd, but I thought, somebody else is going to write this if I don't. I have to get everything I know on paper and get it out there. I took 1 day off during those 8 or 9 months. I went to the beach on a Sunday, but I brought a pad of paper with me, and I wound up writing the introduction. I couldn't stop myself. And throughout the whole time, I thought, how could this possibly be happening to me? Why do I get to be the one to write the first book? So yes, it did feel very destined, and it was very, very surprising and very humbling.
Mr. Braha, we often have very young ones as our viewers. So I would like you to educate us, all of us, the name of the book, what was the impact of the book, and how did it change the history of Vedic astrology in the West?
Well, now you're talking about my first book, which was
Exactly.
the ancient Hindu astrology for the modern Western astrologer.
Yeah.
That book was written in 1985. It came out in 1986. I'm in my office right now. If you had a camera and you looked up, you would find 4 very large scrapbooks. I got letters for at least 5 years, constantly, from people all over the globe that said, oh my God, I have wanted to learn Hindu astrology, Vedic astrology, Jyotish. I've been trying to learn this. I've been trying to read the books. Your book finally gives me the knowledge of how to do it. It never stopped. That, the adoration from people and the accolades and the biggest Western astrologer his name is Robert Hand. He found this book early on within the first year. And he told somebody that knew me, he said, tell James that if he wants a review, a recommendation for the book, I'll give it. I was thrilled. He called the book, he said this book, let me see if I forget exactly how he put it. He said, I think James T. Braha may have written something of a masterpiece here. For the next 30 years, if people want to introduce me, sometimes they say, how should I introduce you? And I would say, just read what Robert Hand said. That was enough. So,
Robert Hand is a legend. I mean, legend of legends.
Legend of legends. He is the top. And then a man named Dennis Harness. Now yes, of course. I was 35 or 36 when the book came out. And Dennis Harness got a hold of it, called me to go to California to give a workshop. And then a couple of years later, he began the Vedic astrology workshops in America. It took off. But I'm telling you, I get letters from people from India. I get letters from people in America who say, I bought your book in India. They went to India to learn Hindu astrology, and they pick up my book from there. It is quite something.
Mr. Braha, you've been called the greatest, you've been called many things. But I think what people aptly call you, and of course you deserve it, you've been called the father of Vedic astrology in the West. How do you feel about that?
Well, the thing is, there have been other people. Chakrapani Ulal did not write books, but Chakrapani Ulal was in California. He did tremendous work. There were a lot of people, but my book, there's no question, my book was the first, and it started a huge movement. To be honest, I have friends sometimes that will introduce me to their friends. And they'll say, this is my friend James. He's the greatest astrologer. And I begin to cringe. And I take them aside. I say, listen, the next time that you introduce me, that just makes me uncomfortable. But if you say he is the greatest writer of Vedic astrology books, I'll feel fine. my books are so clear. They make the knowledge so accessible. So
Exactly.
I feel more like I'm a teacher. Now, I have to say, after practicing from the age of 33, 34, I'm 64, I'll be 65 soon. Now, if somebody wants to say this is a great astrologer, I'll say okay. because finally the experience is finally paying off. And that's what I'm going to talk about when we begin the class.
Sure. We're going to begin the classes, but it's such a humbling moment for me, and it's overwhelming, to have you on our channel, and of course there is a great relationship we both share, we have in common, which is your guru. You had two gurus, if I'm not wrong. One is R. Santanam, and the second is Mr. P.M. Padia.
Yes.
From Bombay.
Yes. God bless them. Thank you, God, for both of them.
Some past life connection there, right, with these two people?
The very first night that I got, for my very first class, not with Santanam, but with Padia, the very first class, he had said, I will come to you. It'll be too hard for you to come to my house. I will come to you. Okay. He comes in and he says, I think you deserve to get knowledge because I am coming to you. The guru is coming to the disciple.
Yeah.
He looks in my horoscope, and my horoscope is tremendously strong for higher knowledge. Okay. So when I want higher knowledge, it comes to me. But yes, I do think that there were so many other teachers. When I chose Padia, there were 7, 8 teachers in the room. This guy started to analyze my chart. I said, that's the man I want. When I went to Santanam, I couldn't find a teacher. And finally, I decided I'm going to go get the books and read the books, which is ridiculous because I would never understand them. The books written by Indians, the Western mind doesn't do so well. And this man says, I have a teacher for you. And as soon as he said, I have a teacher for you, it's like I got goosebumps. Like the hair started to stand up. I have a teacher for you. But the funny thing,
if I'm not wrong,
but wait. The funny thing is, the man drives, not the shopkeeper, but the rickshaw driver drives me to Santanam's house. And I think I'm going to meet someone. I'm 35, 33 at the time. I think I'm going to meet someone who is 70 or 65, someone older. This young man, maybe 3 years older than me, comes in. And right away, he says, how long can you stay? There's no discussion about, he says, how long can you stay? I said, well, I could extend my visa 6 weeks. He says, okay, we'll study 4 hours a night. I knew nothing about this man. But
who guided you to Santanam? I'm sorry, I'm just going to trivia, but I'm speaking to a legend. Who guided you to Santanam?
Ranjan Publications in Delhi.
Oh,
at a bookstore.
I know.
I was picking up all the classics, and he comes over. He says, young man, what are you doing? I said, I want to learn this. He says, you cannot learn from books, but I have a teacher for you. It was unbelievable. Luck, fortune, destiny.
It was destined. And Santanam Ji was such a huge scholar. He knew Tamil, he knew everything. Great translator, great researcher, great predictor. Tell me something. All of us have read Brihat Parashara, Hora Shastra of Santanam Ji. But we have never seen him predicting because, of course, we are also young and you've been there. You've seen it.
Santanam, to me, was a scholar.
Okay.
I got the basics from the scholar.
Okay.
He gave just enough predictions of the horoscopes that I brought to him. We studied 4 hours a night for 6 weeks. And when he spoke about someone's, I brought 25, 30 horoscopes with me, people that I knew. When he spoke about that horoscope, he was accurate. But when it came to future predictions, he didn't do much. I'm going to tell you something very odd. He never did my horoscope.
Oh.
what I mean by this is, yes, we would talk about certain aspects of my chart, but he said, I don't want to do the full horoscope until I get Shadbala. This was 1983. He had to mail away for Shadbala. I was only there for 6 weeks. By the time the computer printout came back, it had the wrong ascendant. He did not, and he wanted the Shadbala. Now, I have to tell you, I don't particularly like Shadbala. There are certain things that I like about it, but Shadbala, like for my Jupiter comes out very strong, but my Jupiter is aspected to the degree by Mars and Saturn. Jupiter is 7 degrees, Mars is 7 degrees, Saturn is 7 degrees. Mars aspects from the 8th, Saturn aspects from the 7th. So the Shadbala gets it wrong in terms of, the Shadbala is good, but it's too mechanical. You need the astrologer, But in any case, he never actually gave me predictions for the future. When I got to Santanam, that is when the real work began. I said to him, I've always had a feeling I'm going to be famous.
When you go to Santanam or when you go to PM
Padia. When I got to Padia, right away I said, I have feelings like this. He said, yes, it's in the chart. He would tell me, he said, you won't have your fame till you're 35 or 36 because of the great years of the planets. First I had the scholar. Second, I had the practical man.
He's so humble. He's so humble. Padia sir, a dear old friend of mine.
He's so humble. Let me tell you, when I chose him, there were 7 other astrologers in the room, but this guy had no ego. And look, Padia was the one. We were talking and we're talking and we're talking, and Padia says, quick, give me your chart. Nobody else wanted to see the chart. They didn't care. This guy wanted to see the chart, and he starts analyzing. I said, that's the man I want.
Wow.
The other guy was much more famous. I went to a man named Ghansham Joshi, was the one who brought...
I know him very well. Ghansham Joshi in Juhu, Bombay.
Yeah. He brought the astrologers together. He was the famous one. The others were not famous. But Padia was the one. I said to myself, this guy is just like me. He just wants the knowledge. He's not about the ego. He wants to do... He was just like me. I said, that's the guy. That's the guy.
Mr. Braha, we have so much in common. How do I tell you? I've been brought up in a Christian family. My father is a Christian. And Ghansham Joshi, during those old days, he was so popular in Bombay. And he was our family astrologer, by the way. He's the one who erected my horoscope. In India, we have the small horoscopes. Small horoscopes, we have few pages, 5-6 pages horoscope. And whenever we had a problem, I still remember going to his house in Juhu, behind a very famous Bollywood star, Devanand. He used to stay. And a couple of times we've gone to him. I remember going to him. Then the other common factor that you and me have is Mr. P.M. Padia. Mr. Padia and me, we are such old good friends. I got engaged, and my plan was to disappear into the Himalayas. So a month before my engagement, Padia Saab and me were speaking, and he was saying, you sound very stressed. I said, yeah, I'm extremely stressed. I'm I'm about to edit one of the volumes of the magazine, Saptarishis Astrology. But I plan to disappear. I plan to go into the Himalayas. One Canadian lady has come. She's invited me over there in the Himalayas. She's got a house over there. So he said, okay, I'm also coming with you. Then I called up that Canadian lady, and she said, oh, Padia sir, Mr. P.M. Padia, the guru of Mr. James Braha. It will be an honor to have him. So me and Padia sir, we went to Manali. From Manali, we went to another place slightly above. slightly on the hills. And I think he was 70 or 65 then. I could not walk up the hills, and he could walk up.
Yes, yes.
Exactly 30 days. Me and P.D.M. Padia and Andre Leclerc from Canada, all three of us stayed in that house, and Andre's husband. And only discussion was astrology.
That's it.
Morning, 4 o'clock, Mr. P.M. Padia used to get up, and he used to do his Laghu Rudra Abhishekam, the very famous remedy he has, Laghu Rudra. And I would do Vishnu Sahasranam. We would discuss we would discuss astrology, we would discuss many combinations in astrology. Somehow it's a very nostalgic moment for me to have you here.
Thank
Please
you.
tell me some of the secrets that you learned from Mr. P.M. Padia.